Back to the possessed. The bumbling brothers simply could not get past that the boy possessed could reach no further than his hood, having to gear his sins confessed. The demons could no longer raid his soul. A sad day when professed men implicitly doubt the aid sacraments bestow to the weak. Whether or not he was afraid, he would need him during the peak of the exorcism, the rite of Holy Mother Church, where meek men dispel demons through Christ's might. He was always on the black fast these days, always a fight waiting for him, demons to cast out. He was old and growing weak, soon to be a part of a past where men did not know what to seek, where chaos formed order and law, when the success of truth seemed bleak, when solid men felt made of straw and lost their courage, brain, and heart, swallowed by the expanding maw of an era falling apart, men awakening to a past when to the stars we could depart, into the space-time ocean vast. A magic trick. How did you make that disappear? His was a magic that surpassed most in this age of hope and fear. He was from the Lost Boys Guild, magicians known both far and near, who with their tricks amazed and thrilled people whose eyes could not detect secrets these mages never spilled. One of 52 you select, using just the eye of your mind. Shuffle, bridge, slide, and a deflect. Cards are flowing as if designed to flow through hands like desert sand. The card you saw clearly defined in your head as if on demand appears face up, the others down, before your eyes, expertly fanned, turning your frown upside down. But that's not all. This trick won't end. The emperor still wears a gown, a woven fabric of pretend, or is it real? But what is fake? When your perspective will depend on the side of the card you take. Red becomes black, diamond to spade, and the two of clubs with a shake in a magic moment does fade to white, and the deck in your hand into another realm is bayed by the conjurer's swift demand. Between your hands there apparates the two of clubs, back from the land the magician's hat separates from this world where all seems mundane. This rock an angel astrogates around the star where humans moil and play games and cast demons out of man back to the serpent's coil. But unlike this trick, I will rout the picker from you in the name of Jesus Christ. There was no doubt he was possessed when, at the name or image or presence, he spat or winced or hissed. One could not tame the visceral reaction that demons have to what they forsook, and so never cease to combat, by dragging men to hell by hook and crook. I don't want it with me anymore, groaned John with a look of tired resignation. He caught glimpses of a time in his life when hope still thrived. Flashes he saw but could not grasp. They just fizz off like bubbles from warm champagne. They were crystal clear, but each could no more be grasped than the rain. His yearning to recall a thought that seemed so perfect caused him pain. He imagined that if he caught one, a green, softly trodden path would reveal itself, one he sought after like a magnetic math mystery. He could not resist pursuing these thoughts. Filled with wrath at the fallen angels who hissed tempting thoughts and sweet delusion in his ear, he clenched up each fist and swung with insane confusion, as if he could bloody and bruise the bodiless whose intrusion over the years caused him to lose his visions of a happy life. Those entities worked to confuse and confound him into such strife he had a mad urge to throttle something, use his tongue like a knife. But they held him down, a bottle of holy water set aside with an assorted old cottle of sacramentals. Tied down, he still put up such a fight that shocked them all. His strength belied his slim frame. Brown Robe used the might bequeathed at his ordination to demand the demonic blight his total subordination to the natural law and judge and creator of creation. Frozen in place, they could not budge John from the bed where he lay prone. Then he sat up. "What is your grudge with me?" he asked with mocking tone, and taunting stare at the priest from hell's ninth circle. A sick groan erupted from John's mouth. "The beast is waiting. He's prepared a cell just for you, and all of the deceased you pray for will greet you in hell. Or am I wrong? Tell me, brown robe." "Qui tua sunt?" With a pained yell, John stood, attempting to disrobe. "Who gave you your powers, priest?" spit John. "But he who tormented Job, your master and mine. Now admit your precious wounds that give you fame. The souls you read by him are lit. Admit that from the beast they came. He wanted you right from the start. He is the one who chose your name. Turn now to him, open your heart. He's watched you grow, your powers wax. Let him in, and he will impart the dark desires, the ones that tax your strength. Quid nomen tibi est? Give in, feel his heat, and relax. Answer now. Quid nomen tibi est? In his righteous name who judged you. Nomen, nunc. Mihi nomen est the picker. Nomen, quo est tu? Tua nomen, nunc. In the name of Christ, answer now. There are two. You will answer. Tell me your name. Me llamo Abidan. The other, out with it. But we have no name. We did not fall with the other ones when our master fell from grace. We bade our time till the mother gave birth, and when we saw the face of God as man, we set to drag filthy, weak, dumb men to the space where their proud countenance will sag. Putrid creature, bitter and proud, thy wrath is wasted on me. Gag on the joy and love from the cloud of witnesses who now surround us, like Jesus was by the shroud. May their pious witness confound all your efforts to subjugate him to the tortures of the bound one, beyond the infernal gate, where darkness and the rotten stench of demonic psychos await. He belongs to Christ. We will wrench him from thy connived intrusion. Brown Robe now commanded Gear to drench John with the holy infusion of water, exorcised of low spirits, blessed with a profusion of grace God's power does bestow. Moon pie eyed and stupefied, Gear jerked back his arm as if to throw at the possessed the holy spear, the one that pierced his Savior's side. Rivulets of red blood and clear water burst forth, opening wide the gates of heaven to us below. Long since his precious blood is dried, yet ever since ceased not to flow. Don't throw the whole bottle, you fool! Splash him! Brown said in no low voice. Gear, it's me. Don't be so cruel to John. Don't listen. It's a trick, Gear. Gear, this brown robe does not rule you. I'm free here. The flames don't lick me anymore. Through John I speak. You must help him. He's just sick. The Master is letting me speak through him. Be with us. Be here now. Em? It's you. Yes, it's me. Just speak to me. No, Gear. The water, now. See, Gear, he only wants control of you. Free yourself of your vow. It's not too late. I want your soul. You will have mine. Just say yes. We can be together in the whole of eternity, you and me. Remember the heat. I will fulfill all that and more. Your fantasy is mine. Let my dark desires spill on you. Just listen to your heart and see that God's will is your will. Touch me now. Let me in your heart. Dark memories flashed with searing pain. He'd confessed, moved on. His heart was still scarred, and upon hearing her voice, a pyroclastic flow of his past lust sent him veering into the waiting arms of so seductive a force of dark will, he could not bring himself to throw the holy water. Do not spill, Gear! shouted Brown Robe. With a quick grab, Jam snatched the vial. A shrill shriek, like a banshee, shook the thick walls. John was doused with the liquid. He fell writhing to the floor. Sick, sulphurous fumes joined the horrid mood, a true taste of hell, the smoke of Satan, shrouding the vapid boy's soul, while his dark legions stoke John's still captive will. They know they've lost, but won't let go until he's broke, drained of the light, and paid the cost for being born of Adam's line. Approaching John, the brown robe crossed himself 3 times, making the sign of the cross inverted, with mock reverence like the dark design of a satanic mass. The flock of goats turn everything around. Upon the cellar, they know, entering chambers underground, where no exorcist will descend. The doors will close and they will pound for help, someone to defend them from torments, as has been told by Saint Bellarmine of man's end. Yes, the stench and the icy cold. But nothing will ever compare to remorse your conscience will hold, knowing that while you were up there, you had a chance to sacrifice your will for God's. But in this lair, with devastatingly concise clarity, sanity returned, you'll confront the cross. With precise knowledge, you will see how you turned your back on Christ. 2 paths you'll see, and you'll realize how you spurned the man hanging up there, bloody, torn. The undercurrent of fear gives way to the enormity of the cost of sin for a mere moment to exert your weak will. Instinctively one grasps the sheer reality of Satan's mill, of the city of man, modern heresy. Waves of remorse spill over you because you can't turn back, just like on earth. So, you crawl in shame down the path where souls burn, forgotten as you hear the call, "Well done, my good and faithful slave," to a soul who stood from the fall. John could see now. He was its slip. He was its slave. On fear he choked. Its hate he felt. Torment, torrents, wave after wave. He thought of how he once had knelt before the cross, red wine and host. He saw the cross on Brown Robe's belt, shining like M's as if a ghost. This exorcist was here and now, his one link to the Holy Ghost, to Christ and God, who can't allow this brown-robed priest to exorcise the demons who to Satan vow to kill all men and terrorize God's creature man, exacerbate their tendencies to exercise their fallen wills on vice and hate. John knew if here he died, his soul, on the hot side of hell's gate, he'd be trapped in the screaming hole with no comfort, no joy, no rest. Tell me now, Picker, why control this boy? To what end? Do not test my patience. Gear, my discipline. Strike him. Not used to such violence, in Gear's awkward hesitation, Jam grabbed Brown Robe's whip, striking John across the back. Confusion surged into their minds like Viking warships on newfound foreign shores. The whip strike smashed the dark diking of the demon's control. Like boars with razor tusks charging greenback hunters, the demons let out roars of hatred. Their faces went slack as John's features morphed with twisting, jerking motions as shadows black oozed from nose and mouth, resisting the urge to abandon. But Euclid grabbed her hand to stay the whip from unsanctioned attack. Picker, why have you latched your claws into John? He was ours! A snack to be shat in your open jaws. He was to carry the ark heart here to disrupt this awful pause, so Lucifer's bright reign can start, greater even than his modern reign when he was enthroned by smart men who knew only the weak yearn for love. Man's filthy love is weak without God. Men will only spurn each other. Take your little freak Gear. We had fun with him for years. Oh, our succubi made him leak. brought him to his knees, brought him to tears. Enough, low one. Who's your master? Now, picker. For a moment, fears were lifted. But then, like plaster crumbling, John's face morphed with grotesque disfigurement. In no faster than an eye's blink, flung from the desk, the holy sacramentals crashed into the ornate Romanesque mosaic on the wall. Jam lashed John again, this time sanctioned by the exorcist. With force, John bashed his head through the mosaic. "Lie him back down!" commanded the brown robe. Silence that seemed to belie immense danger followed the brown robe's command. The room went ice cold, magnifying the silence. Down on his knees, seeming to behold the wall, the broken mosaic is affixed. John's black eyes rolled forwards. Speaking Aramaic, John's voice in a demonic trance that so clashed with the prosaic scene outside makes one think this can't be happening. Summoned the Lord of Hell, then devolved into a rant of an insane demonic horde, giving all present a small taste of the tauntings that will be poured on the men who in hell will waste. Pray now it not be you or me. I've filled my pits near enough, chased men down as they haplessly flee my prowling network, setting traps, from which men struggle to get free, and when they do so, soon relapse. Against heaven we fall and fight, against a beast who feeds in craps. The well John stared at cast a light for centuries seen not. The mosaic was of a knight whose shield bore the endless knot. The crack in the wall from John's head was near the same, though still was not. Each point signified where Christ bled. Each point of Gawain's pentangle was a prayer of the golden thread running through the thick gray tangle of the bleak city man has built, where, slowly working to strangle Adam's sons, who are to the hilt of Satan's severing scabbard run through, are the killers of guilt, polished and clean, hiding haggard beliefs with demons unseen. This endless knot was flipped. Staggered by this anomalous sign seen as a mark that the beast was here, Brown Robe remembered that the Queen of Heaven would always be near, and that though God was all in all, his creation was not a mere experiment. God willed man's all be given to win the good fight, and as such he did not forestall exercising the holy rite of exorcism, of casting out this angel who fell from the height. Euclid and Jam had held no doubt of evil, but this incarnate form, a dark, deep well from which shout cursed souls, forced them to craniate that their view was far from complete. From where did they originate, and what power enforced the law that kept this clear evil at bay? From what source did this brown robe draw this power? They heard this boy say such things as they never had heard. Rightly they felt utter dismay when this boy looked at them. It stirred up fear and utter revulsion in them that this boy, this young man, could summon forth a compulsion to worship this malignant force. John went into a convulsion as Brown Robe commanded the force to vanish back from whence it came. Jam and Euclid knew that the source was evil, but at the same time was seductive. To resist meant missing the thrill of the game, but giving came with a twist of lashing shame and oppressive guilt. Alluring voices persist in filling them with successive thoughts of heroic glory pride. Sensing quickly the aggressive attack, Brown Robe was fast to chide Euclid and Jam, susceptible to the tempting demonic guide who made the reprehensible excesses of natural law bloom into the infallible doctrine of man's relative law. Glowing brighter, the light behind the satanic sign worked to thaw the ice-cold air, as John opined how the wretched light exuded from a repulsive force behind the damned mosaic, intruded upon the shadows dancing round his fettered soul, long secluded in a temporal hell he has found to be ever more delicious, feeling as though by Satan crowned. He watched the demons with impish delight dance around him, his grin growing as the devilish dervish all round him never ceased to spin. The swirling shadows seemed so nice, spiraling spires sucking him in with sensational dreams of vice. God did not leave him destitute, still willing that John find the chalice for which even a prostitute can pray. The end nowhere in sight, Brownrobe, tired, thought to institute harsher whippings into the fight. Jam refused, thinking this extreme, inordinate cruelty, despite the evil seeping from the seam of hell opened up through John's soul. Brownrobe took up the whip. The gleam of the light pouring through the hole in the well shone upon the hand brandishing the whip. The raw hole, the stigmatic wound from Christ's hand, burned with the penitential pain pure justice and mercy demand for a lost soul, heaven to gain. Totally beyond his control, the discipline, with the bloodstain of his wounds, dropped just as the hole in the wall crumbled, revealing the first light God made to extol. Choirs of angels kneeling, saints adoring, all rejoicing, what to John imparted healing, holy souls to God are voicing, glory, honor, all thanks and praise, with the living who are rejoicing, as the priest sacrificing praise, the living gift, holy, divine, be made into the night who slays death, uniting under the sign of the cross all men who will brave the darkness of earth for the shine of heaven, give their life to save the suffering, the weak and frail, by order of the King who gave the 12 his all, that they not fail, catching, tending, feeding his flock with the blood of the Holy Grail.